Lily. It's my parents, my sister. This is my dad. Well, I think that's here.
He was laughing.
Yeah, he's probably got somebody in a corner that's telling him a story, which is true.
Father Timothy Church has lived a lifetime of memories, of events, of people, of things that he has done in and out of his 4 decades in ministry. He is a former Episcopal priest and a longtime pastor of St. Jude Catholic Church in Allen, Texas. With each passing day, each face, each event, each memory is getting more difficult for him to recall.
I have an illness. I think that I don't think I had any great intellectual skills, but I had a few. And I can't exercise them because of this disease. You know what it's like to not be able to write any kind of message at all. I could sit down and write a homily in a matter of a few minutes, and I can't do that anymore.
Father Church is one of more than 5 million Americans suffering from Alzheimer's disease. As the disease takes its toll on its victims, their families are left to pick up the pieces. Many could eventually end up in specialized care, but that is something Father Church's wife Linda and their family hope to avoid.
He still has a smile on his face, so that's easy. It's just sad when he'll come. I'll have to help him get dressed, and he'll have 2 socks on 1 foot. In his mind doesn't know that's not right. Those little things. And, I think it's going to get worse. And I don't know if I have the strength. Because I want to keep him with me as long as I can.
To enthusiastically embrace our applause of God.
The church story is the story of any American family. Those who have seen happy times with births of children, marriages, grandchildren, and countless friends in and out of their parish communities. From the time they were adults, Father Tim and Linda Church have spent nearly every waking hour together. He was 19, she was 18 when they got married. Not long after, Tim felt a calling for a vocation and entered a seminary to become an Episcopal priest.
It was a struggle for me because he was always at class and he had the community there, but I did not have that community feel at that time. But as we got closer to friends, we built community and made lasting friendships.
After he became a priest, and with his own family growing, he not only had to be a father to them, he also had to be Father Church to a larger community.
We had to share him, we had to share him with everybody, and sometimes that was tough because he worked long days and he was either at the church or at the hospital or helping the needy or the poor.
He cared a lot about the parishioners at the church, for everyone involved in the church, and people. It truly was a church family, not from the last name sense, but from the sense that we all worked together.
In 1995, with challenging times impacting the Episcopal Church, Father Church left the denomination for the Catholic Church. He brought with him his young family, his parents, his in-laws, and about 100 people from his former church. In 1999, he took over a growing parish community at St. Jude in Allen.
When my dad decided to become a Catholic priest in the early 90s, I don't think I realized the magnitude of that event at the time.
When Father Tim came in as a married priest, it was new in the diocese, new for our parish, and to have him here, there was some challenges to it because some people did not embrace having a married priest, didn't understand it. But overall, the parish surrounded him, and there were aspects of having a married priest that we gained. Being married, he could understand marriage. He understood having family. He has 3 children. And so people were starting to really relate to the fact that he understood them a little bit better and that he wasn't exempt from challenges. His family is not exempt from challenges. And so people could relate to that.
As the one-time farming town of Allen exploded at the turn of the century, so did his congregation and the ministries needed to attend to their needs. By late 2014 and early 2015, Father Church continually felt tired. A capital campaign had required more work to raise money for various projects. There were times when he couldn't remember things, and he had trouble putting thoughts on paper. He told his wife. One thing led to another. Tests followed at UT Southwestern Medical Center, and he was diagnosed with a mild case of Alzheimer's. This upset Linda, because 4 years earlier, Father Church's own father had died from complications of the disease.
And I guess it was hard because we'd just gone on that journey with his dad. And he didn't want anyone to know. He was afraid that he couldn't continue as a priest. And that was his life. And he's worked very hard. And he loved his job.
And while he tried to perform his normal duties, even while participating in an experimental trial of a new drug, he was not himself.
When Father Tim first came to see me with Linda, I remember his symptoms were very, very mild, and he was having some memory loss. And for patients who have Alzheimer's disease, that's typically how it starts. As the disease starts to progress, not only is memory affected, but then other areas of thinking become affected. So typically language, finding words can become problematic, and certainly for Father Tim, trying to remember, what it is that he's going to say, and then putting that together in a sermon, that became more difficult as the disease progressed.
It was real stressful to go to Mass when he would mess up because he couldn't find his words or his place in the Mass. He was afraid of losing his parish and his life. But I could tell he knew it was getting closer, and it was stressful for him.
He worried it was embarrassing to me that I felt embarrassed that he was messing up at the altar. And I felt so sad that he would think that, because it was actually very courageous for him to be at the altar even though he knew that he wasn't able to perform the Mass the way that he wanted to. in perfection.
After discussing his condition with then Bishop Kevin J. Farrell, it was agreed that Father Church could retire and remain in ministry. He would take on a new role at the parish, and he would have to come clean with his parishioners.
I have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. It all makes sense to me, as a matter of fact, why I can't remember to put out the trash or unload the dishwasher. But ultimately, what we need is very simple: a cure. Pray for a cure. St. Jude is a blessing to me personally and my family, and I thank you for your support. We should all look to the cross, now and always. Please pray for me. Do not grow slack in zeal, but fervent in spirit, and serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope, endure in affliction, persevere in prayer, contribute to the needs of the holy ones, exercise hospitality, as Paul tells us in Romans 12.
I think he felt loved by the community. Everybody has rallied around him. Everybody has been there to support him. And Linda, the family.
It's been a great witness to me to watch this community and to watch his family kind of rally around him and give him that support. And it's all done with love, and that's probably the greatest thing that we see. The greatest reflection maybe isn't so much as Alzheimer's, but the greatest reflection is the love that comes through that illness that he struggles with.
Clinical trials into Alzheimer's research come and go. And with each new drug, researchers learn more and more about the disease. But more money and more research is needed to find a cure.
One thing I want to tell people is that, there is hope. We do believe that there's things that you can do to keep your brain healthy and reduce your risk for dementia. For example, I'm sure everybody's heard this already, but exercise, diet, really important. Remaining socially and cognitively active. We're all at risk, and that's why it's important that all of us, as we get older, consider what we can do to either advocate or support research in this area to try to reduce the number of people and families suffering from Alzheimer's disease.
I stand shoulder to shoulder with people because they have this disease as well. But I want them to take away an experience of mercy. So I want that to be the moniker of their life.
Seeing a loved one struggling with Alzheimer's and dementia can take a toll. Patients and families realize that things will get worse. Father Church is no longer in a clinical trial, and his family says that his condition is now getting worse. But there was a time when he could communicate better with his family. In many of those cases, his thoughts were profound, his words poetic.
He is a big C.S. Lewis fan. When we were young, he would read Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe to us before it was ever even popular. And he was talking about the great divorce and purgatory and how he's preparing himself for that. He said that he needed to prepare it for purgatory and to walk across the grass. And in that moment, you know, it's not all about just what my dad has done for other people. It's God working in his life too. And God is preparing him. And this is what needs to happen in order to get my dad to heaven. Maybe that's more important than all of this.
You didn't tell him that story about your favorite birthday gift. Your mom asked you.
What?
Your mom asked you, when we were dating, 16 or 17 years old, what was your favorite birthday gift? What did you tell him?
What God gave me you on your first birthday.
Yeah, on his first birthday was the favorite gift because I was born.
That's right.
So sweet.
Linda Church wants to take care of her husband as long as she can. Her mother also has dementia. So for the Church family, their daily lives now revolve around taking care of her and Father Tim. Those who know the family call them role models of how to lead an unselfish life. Others marvel at the couple and how they have remained true to the sacred vows they took on December 27, 1968, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do us part.
Well, you know, we've grown up together, getting married at age 18 and 19, and there's no question that we support each other, and I guess we count our blessings. If you're faced with this, you need to look at the good times, not remember the bad times.
We just were simpatico. We were made for each other. And as we grew closer and closer, we realized that this was to be the one for us, that God had designed for us. So I still think that.